Hello, and welcome to Bobi Brews, the show where I play MTG Arena, and I play my home brews, some of which are surprisingly competitive. Today, I will be playing my take on the historic classic Mizzix Mastery Emergent Ultimatum combo. You might think you've seen this one before, but you haven't tried my brew. Quick reminder that if you like this video, click the like, subscribe, share with your friends, leave a comment, just make it positive. Now let's check out that deck. This deck revolves mostly around two cards. One is Mizzix Mastery, sorcery that costs 3 in a red and says exile target instant or sorcery from your graveyard. You may cast a copy of it. You might think, well, what's the point? You have to win twice. You cast the card, and then you cast it again. But no, we're going to pay 4 to cast something that would be much harder to cast. And the best one for that is Emergent Ultimatum. So this ultimatum says you search for your library 3 cards, monocolored, so you don't get another Emergent Ultimatum. And you show them to your opponent. Your opponent chooses 1. That one goes back in the deck. The other 2 you can cast. So what's the worst thing you could get, right? Why would they give you anything? And that's where it gets interesting. Card number 1 is always Omniscience. Enchantment costs 7, 3 blue. Pretty hard to play on your own. But if you can cast it for 4 off of a Mizzix Mastery, it's pretty good. And it says you may cast spells from your hand for free. That's it. Everything you want to cast for free. So usually your opponent doesn't want that. And that's where it gets fun. You get to pick the other 2 cards based on the game. Now, most decks that use Ultimatum go for an immediate win, whether it's through dragons or something like that. But we don't. We go for a grindy win. So let's say your opponent has a bunch of creatures. You show them Star of Extinction, destroy land, 20 damage to all creatures and planeswalkers. Pretty bad. Your opponent is playing control, Thought Distortion. Exile all their non-land, non-creature cards from their hand and their graveyard. Not pretty good for them. Aside from that, you can start taking extra turns. You can draw a bunch of cards. You can draw a bunch of cards and not have to discard them. You could go find something in your sideboard. Now, what's in our sideboard? Our win condition, actually. So we have a single Fae of Wishes, which is very optimistic, but this deck has a surprisingly high win rate. And in our sideboard, we have a Jace Wielder of Mysteries, which says if you would draw a card and there's no cards in your hand, you win the game. Sorry, in your deck. So the point is, just draw your deck with Omniscience in play, and you win. Easy as pie. So how do you do that? How do you get Emergent Ultimatum into your graveyard? Draw and discard. So 4 Faithless Looting, 4 Cathartic Reunion, 4 Prismari Command. That tends to be enough. If you had to discard something you didn't want to discard, but you had to just in case, you get 1 Experimental Overload, which will sometimes give you the creature that's going to win through damage and multiple turns. Something to keep in mind is Omniscience is only for cards in your hand. So if you foretell Alrund's Epiphany, you can't play it with Omniscience. But usually, you can cast everything for free and just cast your Alrund's Epiphany with your mana. Pretty straightforward. The rest of the deck, 1 Sweltering Suns, 1 Storm's Wrath to ensure we can survive. And in our sideboard, we have 1 Tormod's Crypt in case we're playing against a graveyard deck and we couldn't find our Mizzix Mastery yet. We have a Stern Dismissal for those pesky enchantment decks where you just need to stall them until you can win. We have our win condition. We have another Storm's Wrath, another Thought Distortion, 1 Ugin, and you'll see we have a World Tree in our sideboard. And we actually have 2 World Trees in our main deck. That means, yes, we sometimes hardcast our Emergent Ultimatum. It's not that difficult to do. We've seen it a lot of times. Lands, we just have pretty clear blue, red split with 2 world trees. Simple strategy, draw and discard, make sure you hit an Emergent, Ultimatum, and a Mizzix Mastery in your graveyard, and that's usually the end of it. Now, we don't win outright, like I said, but it leads to some fun, long, drawn-out, grindy games, and that's my kind of combo. Now that you know what we're doing, let's have a taste of this brew. Hello, let's get to the first game that you'll be watching. I actually played another one. It was 10 minutes of not doing anything because we played against a control deck. This looks like a good hand. I would say the only thing that can beat us is a control deck with graveyard hate and discard, like the previous opponent that you didn't see. So this is great. We're going to keep this. We're on the play. We can win turn 4 potentially. Like, technically we don't win turn 4. We just humiliate our opponent to the point where they don't want to keep playing. So this is not a deck I'm familiar with. Interesting. They can put another card. It's nice. We're going to toss our, you know what, Emergent, Ultimatum, and a land. We already have 4 lands in play, or in hand. That's all we need to win. And if we have this Alrund's Epiphany in our hand and we get to play Omniscience, that's good enough for me. So the Star of Extinction is in our hand. That's not great. That's the kind of card we want in our decks, but we can always discard it. And when we do that, we can fetch a Mizzix Mastery with our Ultimatum and cast it from our graveyard. Hopefully the opponent plays something big and scary. Something that they don't want to lose. That is definitely not it. Sure, the Yorvil gains a +1, but that's just a Llanowar Elf. Okay, but they played out their hand. That's what we want to see, because now they're committed to the board and they don't want us to clear it. So what are we going to do? We're going to offer to clear it. So we will cast our Emergent Ultimatum, find our trusty Omniscience, find our Mizzix Mastery so that we can recast our card from the graveyard, and we're going to draw 7. And you might say, but you have 4 cards in hand. If you draw 7, you have to discard 4. And yes, that is the point. We can toss another Emergent Ultimatum and hopefully find another Mizzix Mastery. So let's offer that up to the opponent. Our opponent will think, and they will give us the cards and the Star of Extinction, even though it means their board is going away. With this, we will now gain pretty good control over the board. And our opponent will mostly just wait it out until we are able to win. They have a Lovestruck Beast in exile. I'm not worried because we have a Prismari command to kill it with. So we're going to get rid of our Thought Distortion. They are a creature deck. We'll keep our Sweltering Sun. We will keep 2 lands. Should be enough. Let's see what they play. I don't know what that card is. I'm not worried about it. So I think at this point, And I'm going to toss one Prismari command. They might draw a card that could hit us for 4 or 6, but we're not under a lot of pressure, so we're actually going to start foretelling, because we probably will win just by playing a bunch of Alrund's Epiphanies back to back. We're at 8, which is a comfortable life total. We're now going to use both Sweltering Suns and Prismari Command. And because we have just about everything we could want in hand, we're just going to create a treasure. And we're going to start hard casting all of our spells next turn. We will have the option of drawing with Seagate Restoration, or we can do 2 Alrund's Epiphanies Foretold. Okay. Here, we run the risk of dying, but this is a content play. I'm just going to foretell. If they get a 4/4 haste creature, we're dead. Anything else, we're in really good shape. They got a land. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So let's start the Alrund's Epiphany run. We do have Omniscience in our deck, so we definitely want to get there. And we just drew our 4th Alrund's. So we will foretell the next one. Hit him for 2. This is going to take a while, but we can do this. Hit him for 4. Hit him for 6. They go to 11. We're going to play this in case we draw an Emergent Ultimatum. We're going to start off by drawing 3. And we did hit our Omniscience. We won't be able to cast it this turn. And we can only get them to 10 damage. So because we have inevitability, we're not going to attack. We're going to keep them back just in case. I don't know what they could get. They could get Unnatural Growth. That is bad if they can find something, but Llanowar Elf is just not going to cut it. We'll give them some love. We'll just block with everyone. At this point, we're not going to win with damage. We're going to go with emotional damage. So the plan now, play Omniscience, play Emergent Ultimatum. Hopefully they don't scoop. With Ultimatum, we will look for card draw and our Fae of Wishes. I believe they're playing everything to tap out so that we can play in peace. Start with Omniscience. Go with Ultimatum. Go for draw, draw. And that's enough. We got him. Took longer than usual. For a turn 4 Ultimatum, we had to go all the way to 9 minutes and 12 lands in play. But I think that was a good showing for our brew. Let's go for another one. Just waiting on our second opponent here. This is a surprisingly effective deck. At one point a long time ago, before there was so much graveyard hate, I actually went on an 18-1 run with this deck. It's pretty good, pretty competitive. It'll help you get to Mythic pretty fast. But there's a lot of graveyard hate out there, so you have to be careful. Now, as before, we have an Omniscience in our initial hand. We don't want that, so we're just going to mulligan. And this is awesome. We are definitely going to keep this. And it's a tough call, but I'm going to get rid of one of our lands. And the reason is that if we have 2 Emergent Ultimatums in our graveyards, we can chain them together with the Mizzix Mastery. The only concern now is we need to find lands because we got rid of one. And those are not lands. So this is not good. Not looking good for our hero, assuming I'm the hero. Wow, this is not what I was expecting. And you know what? I'm not going to foretell that. We've seen 3 lands in 12 cards. Not great. Luckily, our opponent is, I don't know what they are. They played a Balaged Sanctuary and Explore and Regrowth, and I don't know what's going on. But they're stuck on lands just as we are. Since we had 2 Alrund's Epiphany, I went ahead and foretold one. No point in keeping it. That's a land if I've seen one. Just 1 land away. With the white, I am a bit worried. Maybe they have a way of removing our graveyard, rest in peace, or something like that. But if they don't have that, we're in great shape. Play their land. Explore another land. I don't know what they're playing, but it's odd to say the least. So we are going to go with our Emergent Ultimatum. And here, we're actually going to go for Omniscience as always. Draw 7 because we want stuff in our graveyard now. And another Mizzix Mastery. Most likely, they don't want to give us Omniscience, so we get to do this all over again. Oh, interesting. We definitely have to give them some love. Thank you very much. You are the best. Let's see what they have. I'm actually very curious about what's in their hand. And nothing. That's the answer of what is in their hand. Oh, we were going to get there. We had them. We had the full combo to do the win with Jace because we were going to go get it from our sideboard. We have 26 cards in our deck. We have 21 in our hand. We use Mizzix Mastery on the Seagate Restoration. We draw another 21 or so. We have 5 cards left, and then we just draw whatever we want. And that's it. That's game. We got him. Didn't get there on turn 4 like we thought we would. We missed 2 land drops at least. But we got him. It's a great feeling when your opponent gives you the Omniscience. I always send them the love because you dream of those days, but very few people are willing to go through with it. Now, they didn't want to let us do our whole thing, but at least they gave us the card, and that's what counts. Opening hand, Omniscience, no, we don't want that. This, tempting, 2 ultimatums, no way to draw and discard. Let's mulligan that. This, much better. So we will get rid of 1 Faithless Looting, because although we could go turn 1, turn 2, they are net negative on your hand, so you don't want too many of those. And we're going to keep the insight. We're actually going to get rid of land. We kept the insight in case we draw a Mizzix Mastery, which there it is. You know what? We're going to get rid of the command. Just in case we run into the same issue as last game where we couldn't draw our lands, we're going to keep them. Turn 3, we would like to have the Prismari, but we can just use the Faithless Looting. Looks like our opponent is on the control plan, so most likely we're not going to be able to resolve any of our spells. But we can try. If they tap out here, wouldn't help us very much because the only thing we want to cast is Overflowing Insight. But it looks like they're also on the Mizzix Mastery plan. Nope, no. They're control. Okay, so we're just going to destroy that so that they can't play their Jace, or sorry, Teferi this turn. I don't think that's going to draw a counter spell from them. But we want to slow them down. Okay, so they will get to play their Teferi after all. The question is whether or not they have a 2-mana counter spell. Or maybe they are. No. Okay, I'm not going to drag this one out because it's just really annoying to play. I'm going to go for it. They're going to counter it. And then we'll just scoop. No point in dragging you through the mud with this one. Yes, you let the Mizzix Mastery resolve and you counter the spell. That's not how you play it, man. And I even clicked on the wrong one. I clicked on Alrund's Epiphany. I had nothing to do with Alrund's Epiphany, but they were worried about it. We do have our World Tree, 6 lands and a treasure, so we would be able to cast an Emergent Ultimatum if we drew one, but instead we drew Omniscience, which again is the worst draw you could have unless you're at that end point where you have all the lands you need. Our opponent is just doing nothing. I said I was going to scoop, but I want to see him do something, so please play your hulking gear Hulk and cast your Magma Opus. And they're not doing that. Okay. Come on, man. I'm only staying here because there is a chance that I draw my Ultimatum and you don't counter it. It's a low probability, but it could happen. It could very well happen. They're digging for lands. The lands that they left behind make me think that they have a Dovin's Veto, but in reality, they didn't have to manually tap. This was their only red source, and the other 3 lands were white and blue. People, play quicker. Senpai, please, just play quicker. Come on, you can do it. You got your land. You have your 3-mana counter spell. You have your shark. Just gonna pass. We may actually hard cast the Omniscience. It won't resolve. They're just gonna counter it. But we might be able to. Come on. Yeah, you probably feel so proud of yourself. Playing the most grindy deck you could find. Let's see what we get with this. We'll cycle. They can counter that ability if they want. We got nothing. Gonna make another token. Gonna have 9 power on board. Do you have the Magma Opus? Do you have the Gear Hulk? Please, just play anything. I'm at 1. Really? Okay. I'm just going to go for this. They'll counter it because I don't have anything else in hand. They'll give me the good game. But it wasn't a good game, Senpai Man. You know that. You're playing a deck that doesn't allow people to play their deck. Here it is. This is what you wanted to see. Just counter it. Really? Slow rolled the Lightning Helix. You could have casted a bunch of times. But you... Whatever, man. Whatever. Let's try one more. A bit salty with the matchmaker, giving us 2 control decks so far. One full of counter spells, one full of hand disruption, and graveyard hate that you didn't get to see yourself. But I saw it. I lived through it. It was painful. And then the control deck was just slow rolling a Lightning Helix. Right. Yeah. Nice job. Nice job. So, was rugby. Oh, WSU Rugby 10. Again, we're all the WSU rugbies from no number to 9 taken. What is it with people in 10? So this is a great hand. We have ways to discard and we have things to discard. So we're going to keep. We also have the World Tree, which means in 7 turns, if we don't miss our land drops, we'll be able to hard cast the Ultimatum. Isn't that the dream? But given what I'm seeing here, I'd say we're playing against a grindy control deck that is going to do everything they can so that we don't get to play fun games. Let's see what they have now. Probably a Thoughtseize, and then, oh no, they are Grixis, which is probably the worst. We're gonna go for maximum card draw here. I know it's not great, but we do need to run through our deck quickly. Not what we want to see. Not at all. So we'll keep 2 lands just in case. Oh, they might be a similar deck on their own. They might be playing the Dragons version of this. No, I don't know what they're playing. Phoenix deck, perhaps? With Splash of Black? This is different. So now no point in doing it on our turn. We're just going to pass. We'll do it on their turn. We want to play our Prismari command to draw and create a treasure, unless they throw a Phoenix in the bin, in which case we may go for shocking the Phoenix. We don't want to take damage, but then again, we do have the Sweltering Suns, so we can take a little bit of damage. We can always sweep the leg, the board later. We'll draw, discard, and create treasures. Again, not what we want to see. We're going to discard our Prismari command. No, we're actually going to get rid of the Sweltering Suns. And given what we just drew, we're just going to say go. We'll create a treasure at the end of their turn. Hopefully they tap out. This is good. And then we will hard cast an Emergent Ultimatum that will find us an Omniscience, a Mizzix Mastery, and something else. I don't know if they play counter spells. It is possible. So we're going to cycle to draw and discard, and we're going to try and hit a land. so that we can have enough mana for paying one more. So let's draw a discard and create a treasure. They have something. I don't know if it's a counterspell though. Okay, so this is interesting because we can keep the land and the Mizzix Mastery and go for an overloaded Mizzix Mastery, or we can just hardcast the Emergent Ultimatum and get rid of the land, in which case if we draw another land we can still have 1 mana, but if they counter it we can have the Mizzix Mastery for next turn. So we're going to go with that one. Drew the land. Let's go for Emergent Ultimatum. Let's see if they have the counterspell. Rugby. There it is. Now let's see what they do this turn. That's great. We should be able to get around that. If they have a spell pierce, we will be able to pay it. So we can't overload, but for practical purposes it's the same because we can get another Mizzix Mastery and chain them together. So that's what we're going to do. We'll go Omniscience. Okay, we're still waiting. Omniscience, Mizzix Mastery, and Thought Distortion. We will get rid of their hand. Because we only have 1 card left in our hand, they might go for Omniscience and the Thought Distortion. But that's still good for us because we have an Alrund's Epiphany, which we will use to get another turn, which means 1 more draw, and we have a Faithless Looting, which means 2 more draws. So we should be able to find something good, but no. They gave us what we wanted. So we're going to cast the Emergent Ultimatum first and the Omniscience second. That way we will know if the Omniscience resolves, which it did. So now we're going to go for maximum damage, which is draw, Thought Distortion, and Mizzix Mastery again. Second Mizzix Mastery would be to keep drawing cards. It's risky to look at your graveyard because, and it's happened to me before, you can, by mistake, cancel out of casting any of the spells from your Emergent Ultimatum. It hurts, it's pretty annoying, makes you look like a fool, but it does happen every once in a while. This was a great draw. That is not what I wanted to do. Game lagged out on me. That is definitely not what we wanted to do. So we're gonna take a reset on this one. Apologies for the poor play. We have 13 cards in hand, 18 in the deck. So it's safe to play our Seagate Restoration. And that was enough. We got him. We didn't get to go through the full motions, but we got him. And that's what matters, because I don't know what they were playing. Control deck, maybe? Phoenix deck? I don't know. They had Spell Pierce. No idea what they were playing, but we got them. And that's what counts. This brew got them. Let's wrap it up. How did the deck do? It went all right. It went 3-2. It doesn't have its insane win percentages it used to have, which were sometimes up in the high 80s over 20 or 30 games. So fairly consistent. I used to hit Mythic with this pretty quickly back in, I don't know, 5-6 months ago, maybe a little more. Would I recommend it? Definitely. This is a fun deck to play. Puts your opponent on the back foot as soon as you cast that Emergent Ultimatum and they're expecting some simple combo win or no. We're going for grindy. And that's usually what gets them. They will scoop. Now we got to see several giving us the Omniscience, but that rarely happens. We always just play by ourselves for a while, destroy the opponent's board, things like that. But in this case, they gave us the Omniscience and they called it quits. And we'll take those wins because what we want is to beat everyone with our brews. Thank you for watching this video. Please click like, subscribe, share with your friends, leave a comment, keep it positive. Until next time, stay thirsty for those home brews. Thank you.